From space, our world appears as a vibrant blue marble, a planet defined by water. This vast ocean of blue gives the illusion of endless abundance, a promise of life-giving liquid in every direction. Yet, this image hides a delicate truth. The vast majority of this water, over 97%, is salt water, undrinkable for most of the life that thrives on land. The remaining 3% is fresh water, the very essence of our survival. But even this small fraction is not what it seems. It is a treasure locked away from our reach, a resource far more precious and rare than we might ever imagine. Of all the fresh water on Earth, a staggering 2/3 is frozen solid, captured in the colossal ice caps and glaciers that crown our planet's poles. This leaves just 1% of the world's water as the liquid fresh water that courses through our rivers, rests in our lakes, and hides deep within the ground. And of that tiny portion, much lies in underground aquifers, difficult to access. In the end, a minuscule fraction of all the water on our planet, less than 1%, is easily available to fill our streams and quench the thirst of all terrestrial life, from the smallest insect to the largest elephant and of course ourselves. This tiny precious amount of accessible fresh water is the lifeblood of our continents. It carves canyons, nourishes forests, and creates the vibrant wetlands that act as nurseries for countless species. Every single living thing on land depends entirely on this small, finite supply. It dictates where life can flourish and where it cannot. The patterns of rainfall, the flow of rivers, and the presence of lakes have shaped the grand tapestry of life on Earth for millennia. The journey of this water, from sky to river to sea, is a cycle of immense power and profound importance. But today, the reliability of this vital resource is no longer certain. The predictable patterns of weather and water flow that generations of life have depended upon are changing. For the first time in our planet's history, the availability of fresh water is becoming unpredictable for all species, everywhere. The delicate balance that has sustained life for so long is now under threat. Understanding the fragility of this system is the first step towards protecting it, for our own survival is inextricably linked to the health of our planet's fresh water. Rivers are the arteries of our planet, carrying fresh water across the land, nourishing everything they touch. Their natural, meandering paths and seasonal floods have shaped landscapes and ecosystems for millions of years. This constant, reliable flow has been a source of life for countless species which have adapted their entire existence to the river's rhythm. From the mightiest migrations to the most subtle life cycles, the pulse of the river has been the pulse of life itself. But in a remarkably short period, we have fundamentally altered this ancient pulse, changing the very nature of our world's waterways. Driven by our ever-growing need for water and power, humanity has reshaped the world's rivers on an unprecedented scale. We have built dams to generate electricity and create reservoirs for our cities and farms. We have straightened their courses and contained their banks with concrete walls to prevent flooding. Today, over 2/3 of the planet's longest rivers are no longer free-flowing. They are constrained, diverted, and controlled by human engineering. This grand replumbing of the planet has brought benefits to many, but it has come at a great cost to the natural world. The consequences of these changes are profound and far-reaching. When a river is dammed, its natural flow is choked off. The seasonal floods that once carried rich sediments downstream, fertilizing floodplains and deltas, are held back. These floods were crucial for creating vast, temporary wetlands that served as breeding grounds for fish and birds. Now, many of these vibrant ecosystems are shrinking or have disappeared entirely. In some cases, the changes are so extreme that mighty rivers that once surged to the sea now run dry long before they reach their destination, leaving behind parched riverbeds and silent deltas. This transformation is not just about the loss of water, it is about the severing of a vital connection. The intricate web of life that depends on a river's natural rhythm begins to unravel. Species that evolved to thrive in its dynamic environment suddenly find themselves in a world that no longer meets their needs. From the giant mayfly in Europe whose spectacular emergence is now a rare sight due to pollution and riverbank stabilization, to the vast fisheries of the Mekong, the human touch has left an indelible mark on our planet's arteries, and the health of the entire system is now in question. In the vast plains of Ruaha in Tanzania, the rhythm of life has always been dictated by the seasonal flow of its great river. For generations, this river flowed all year round, providing a constant source of life in a land of dramatic wet and dry seasons. But in the last 30 years, something has changed. Upstream, the demands of agriculture have grown, diverting more and more water to irrigate crops. Now, the once perennial river ceases to flow for months on end during the dry season. The lifeline of the Savannah is being severed, and the consequences for its wildlife are devastating. For the elephants of Ruaha, this change presents a desperate challenge. These magnificent animals need to drink up to 200 liters of water every single day. With the surface water gone, they must rely on ancient knowledge, passed down through generations. Using their powerful trunks and feet, they dig deep into the dry, sandy riverbed, searching for the water that still flows beneath the surface. These elephant-dug wells become small oases, life-saving sources of water not just for their own families, but for countless other animals that share this arid landscape. But not all animals can dig for water. The hippos, creatures utterly dependent on deep pools to keep their sensitive skin cool and moist, face a particularly grim situation. As the river shrinks, they are forced to congregate in ever smaller, crowded mud wallows. The dwindling space and resources lead to intense stress and brutal conflicts. The thick mud offers little relief from the scorching sun, and the close quarters become a breeding ground for disease. For these water giants, the drying of the river is a slow and agonizing death sentence. This struggle for survival does not go unnoticed. Predators, like the lions of Ruaha, are drawn to the few remaining water sources. Here, their prey is concentrated and, increasingly, weakened by thirst and hunger. Buffalo, normally formidable opponents, become easier targets as their strength wanes. The drying river creates a landscape of desperation, where the ancient balance between predator and prey is skewed. The struggle for water becomes the ultimate drama of life and death, played out on the dusty stage of a riverbed that has lost its soul. In the clear, cold rivers of North America, one of nature's most epic migrations has been unfolding for thousands of years. The journey of the Pacific salmon is a true marvel. Born in freshwater streams, they travel hundreds of miles to the ocean, where they mature into powerful adults. After years at sea, they are driven by an unerring instinct to return to the very same streams where they were born, to spawn and then die. This incredible cycle is not just the story of one species, it is the foundation of an entire ecosystem, bringing vital nutrients from the ocean deep into the heart of the forest. This heroic journey, however, has become a path of insurmountable obstacles. The dams we have built across their rivers are like great walls, blocking the salmon's path upstream. Even with fish ladders, many are unable to complete their migration. The changes to the river's flow and temperature caused by dams and water diversion further disrupt their life cycle. As a result of these widespread changes, the once teeming populations of Pacific salmon have collapsed. Today, their numbers are less than 1% of what they were historically. The rivers that once ran red with their returning bodies are now eerily quiet. The loss of the salmon sends shockwaves through the entire food web. In the forests of Alaska, the lives of brown bears are intimately tied to the salmon run. During the short summer months, these bears must eat enough to build up the thick layers of fat they need to survive the long, harsh winter hibernation. The annual salmon feast is the most important event of their year. They gather at waterfalls and shallow riffles, feasting on the nutrient-rich fish. The salmon provide the essential calories that will sustain them through months of sleep. Now, with far fewer salmon returning, the bears are struggling. A failed salmon run means a hungry winter. Mother bears find it harder to produce enough milk for their cubs, and the survival of the next generation is put at risk. The decline of this single species reveals the profound interconnectedness of freshwater ecosystems. The absence of salmon is felt not just by the bears, but by the eagles that patrol the skies, the wolves that prowl the riverbanks, and even the trees themselves, which absorb the nutrients left behind by the salmon's decaying bodies. A river without salmon is a forest impoverished. Deep in the heart of South America lies the Amazon, the largest rainforest on Earth. It's a world built and sustained by water, and home to the mightiest river on the planet. But, the Amazon's influence on our planet's water cycle actually extends far beyond the banks of its river. The forest itself is, well, a gigantic living water pump. The billions of trees that make up this vast green ocean draw moisture from the soil through their roots, and release it into the atmosphere through their leaves. A single large tree can release up to 1,000 liters of water vapor in a single day. This process, repeated on a colossal scale, creates a phenomenon of breathtaking proportions. Every day, the Amazon rainforest releases 20 billion tons of water vapor into the atmosphere. This is a greater volume of water than the Amazon River itself discharges into the Atlantic Ocean. This immense plume of moisture forms a vast, invisible river in the sky. Carried by the wind, these flying rivers travel for thousands of kilometers, shaping weather patterns and delivering life-giving rain to regions far beyond the forest's edge. The Amazon is, in effect, watering a continent. The reach of these flying rivers is truly extraordinary. They're the source of rainfall for the agricultural heartlands of South America, sustaining crops that feed millions of people. They also provide the water that nourishes other vital ecosystems. One of the most spectacular beneficiaries is the Pantanal, the world's largest tropical wetland. This immense mosaic of rivers, marshes, and grasslands depends on the seasonal rains brought by the Amazon's flying rivers. Its annual floods create a paradise for an incredible diversity of wildlife, from jaguars to giant river otters. The existence of this river in the sky highlights a profound truth. Forests and water are inseparable. The health of the Amazon rainforest is critical not just for the life within it, but for the stability of the climate and water supply across an entire continent. As deforestation continues, we're not just losing trees, we're dismantling this incredible natural machine. The threat of a smaller, weaker flying river looms large, promising longer droughts and greater uncertainty for the millions of people and the countless species that depend on the Amazon's generous gift of rain. In the heart of Africa, the Great Rift Valley holds a true giant Lake Tanganyika. This immense body of water is so vast that it holds nearly 1/5 of all the accessible surface fresh water on our planet. It is an ancient lake, and over millions of years, a unique and isolated world has evolved within its depths. The lake is a global hotspot of biodiversity, famous for its incredible variety of cichlid fish. There are over 250 species of cichlids here, and the vast majority of them are found nowhere else on Earth. They've evolved into a dazzling array of shapes, colors, and behaviors. But this vibrant world exists only in a surprisingly thin layer of water. While the lake is incredibly deep, life is confined to the top 150 meters. Below this level, there is no oxygen. The deep waters are a dead zone. The survival of the lake's entire ecosystem depends on this fragile, oxygenated surface layer, which is maintained by winds that churn the water, mixing it with air. This delicate balance has allowed the spectacular diversity of life in Lake Tanganyika to flourish for eons. Now this balance is being threatened by a global force climate change. As global air temperatures rise, the surface water of the lake is becoming warmer. Warmer surface water is less dense and does not mix as easily with the cooler, deeper layers. The result is that the vital, oxygen-rich top layer is becoming shallower. The winds that have mixed the lake for millennia are no longer strong enough to overcome this temperature difference. The lake is stratifying more intensely, and the habitable, oxygenated zone for fish and other organisms is shrinking. For the unique cichlid fish and the local communities that depend on them for food, this is a silent crisis. As their habitat space shrinks, the fish populations face an uncertain future. The lake, which has been a stable source of life for so long, is slowly suffocating from the top down. The story of Lake Tanganyika is a stark warning. It shows how even the largest and most ancient freshwater systems are not immune to the far-reaching impacts of a changing climate. The invisible threat of shrinking oxygen levels could erase millions of years of evolution in the blink of a geological eye. Beneath the bustling surface of modern Florida lies a hidden realm, an intricate and vast network of underwater caves and rivers. This subterranean world is carved from limestone and fed by the largest concentration of freshwater springs on the planet. For millennia, rainwater has seeped down through the porous ground, filtering through the rock and gathering in a massive underground reservoir known as the Floridan Aquifer. This aquifer then releases the crystal-clear water through hundreds of springs, creating magical turquoise pools that are gateways to the secret water world below. These springs are more than just geological wonders. They're the heart of a unique ecosystem. The water emerges at a constant, mild temperature year-round, creating a perfect refuge for wildlife during the cooler winter months. The most famous residents of these warm water sanctuaries are the Florida manatees. These gentle, slow-moving marine mammals cannot tolerate cold water. When the temperatures in the coastal bays drop, they migrate inland, following ancient routes up the rivers to the life-saving warmth of the springs. Here, they gather in large numbers, resting and conserving energy until spring returns. The survival of the manatees is entirely dependent on the health of these springs and the aquifer that feeds them. But this precious resource is under increasing pressure. Florida's growing human population draws vast quantities of water directly from the aquifer for homes, lawns, and agriculture. As more water is pumped out, the flow from the springs is reduced. This not only shrinks the warm water refuges available to the manatees, but also alters the delicate chemistry of the spring water, which can affect the entire food web that depends on it. Furthermore, pollution from farms and urban areas seeps into the ground, contaminating the aquifer with nitrates and other chemicals. This pollution fuels the growth of algae, which clouds the once crystal-clear water and chokes out the native aquatic plants that manatees and other animals rely on for food. The secret water world of Florida, a critical haven for so much life, is being threatened by the demands and the waste of the world above. Protecting this hidden system is essential for the future of the gentle manatees and the unique beauty of the springs themselves. For centuries, the Platte River in the heart of North America has served as a vital stopover for one of the world's great migrations. Every spring, 500,000 sandhill cranes journey from their wintering grounds in the south to their nesting sites in the Arctic. Their journey is long and arduous, and they depend on the Platte River to rest and refuel. The cranes require a specific habitat-wide shallow channels with bare sandbars in the middle of the river. These sandbars provide a safe place to roost at night, protected from predators like coyotes. Over the last century, this crucial habitat began to disappear. Dams built upstream for irrigation and hydroelectric power drastically altered the river's natural flow. The powerful spring floods that once scoured the channel, clearing away vegetation and maintaining the wide, open sandbars, were gone. The river became narrower and deeper, and its sandbars became overgrown with trees and shrubs, making them unsuitable for the cranes. The future of this magnificent migration was in jeopardy, as the cranes' most important rest stop was vanishing before their eyes. Faced with this crisis, a remarkable partnership of conservationists, farmers, and government agencies came together to save the cranes and their river. They recognized that they couldn't simply remove the dams, but they could manage the river's flow more intelligently. Using controlled releases of water from the upstream reservoirs, they could mimic the natural spring floods. These managed floods are powerful enough to clear the unwanted vegetation from the sandbars and widen the river channel, recreating the exact conditions the cranes need. Today, the Platte River is a powerful symbol of hope. The carefully managed flows have successfully restored the essential sandbar habitats, and the sandhill cranes continue to grace the river with their presence each spring. This success story demonstrates that it is possible to balance human needs with the needs of wildlife. It shows that by understanding the intricate workings of our freshwater systems, we can find innovative solutions to undo some of the damage we have caused. By working with nature, rather than against it, we can help to heal our planet's arteries and secure a future for the life that depends on them. The stories of our planet's fresh water, from the parched riverbeds of Africa to the crowded springs of Florida, all carry the same urgent message. This precious resource is finite, and its health is inextricably linked to our own. For too long, we have taken fresh water for granted, treating our rivers, lakes, and aquifers as if they were infinite. We have dammed, diverted, and polluted them with little thought for the long-term consequences. Now, we are seeing those consequences unfold in the struggles of animals and people around the globe. The web of life is unraveling, and we are part of that web. But despair is not the answer. The challenge before us is great, but it is not insurmountable. We have the knowledge and the ingenuity to change our course. The first step is to recognize the true value of healthy freshwater ecosystems. We must understand that a free-flowing river is more than just a conduit for water. It is a living system that provides countless services, from nurturing fisheries to protecting communities from floods. Protecting forests, like the Amazon, is not just about saving trees, but about safeguarding the rainfall for an entire continent. On a global scale, we must work together to manage our shared river basins more equitably and sustainably. This means re-evaluating our reliance on large dams and exploring alternative energy and water storage solutions. It requires us to invest in technologies that allow us to use water more efficiently in our agriculture and our cities, reducing the strain on our rivers and aquifers. Protecting our remaining free-flowing rivers and restoring those we have damaged must become a global priority, a collective effort to mend the arteries of our world. Ultimately, the future of fresh water rests in all of our hands. The choices we make every day, from the food we eat to the products we buy, have an impact on water resources far away. By being mindful of our own water footprint, we can contribute to a larger culture of conservation. The hopeful story of the Platte River shows that positive change is possible when people come together with a shared purpose. We have a shared responsibility to be guardians of this blue planet's most precious treasure. For in protecting our fresh water, we are protecting all life on Earth, including our own.